is what they're called.
When it does that, there's only 23 chromosomes.
Yeah, so it's mitosis and then meiosis. That's
Yeah.
the third.
Yep.
Mitosis.
Mitosis comes from the spermatogonia into the spermatogonium and the primary spermatocyte.
Right.
And then when the primary spermatocyte divides, it's into meiosis.
And that's when the four daughter cells come on.
And it's 23.
Three, you got it.
I think that's as far as I
So
got.
the mitosis is the 46 chromosomes.
Yeah.
And then when it goes to the
And it's only 2 daughter cells.
primary spermatocyte, meiosis, and then meiosis goes to four daughter cells, which make it 23 chromosomes.
You got it. Okay. Okay, you got this?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Some things that you need to know is that you need to know the parts of a sperm. The parts of the sperm is it's got acrosome in it. The acrosome is really the head of the sperm, and that has a specialized structure that contains enzymes that neutralizes the acid and actually allows it to penetrate the ovum.
Okay. Say that again, because she said that was definitely going to be on there.
The acrosome is a specialized structure of the sperm itself. It's the head of the sperm.
It's like the arrow.
Right.
And it contains enzymes that actually assist it to penetrate the egg or penetrate the ovum. Then it also has a mid piece and it has the tail. And the tail is what helps it to swim. It's the movement of the tail that actually helps it to swim. All right. So that is spermatogenesis in a nutshell.
So, the sperm has the head, which contains the nucleus that contains the genetic information from the father. Then it has the arrow.
The head is actually called the acrosome, is what it's called.
So it's the head's called the acrosome with the nucleus that contains the
Yeah, you got it. And then it has the mid piece to it, and then it has the tail to it. You see it there?
You talking about the enzyme? No, that's the acrosome.
See this? This acrosome is like right here.
And then a mitochondria.
Right, mitochondria. But this is really it. Right here, this is the mid piece, and this is the tail. And it's just saying, here's the acrosome here, and in the acrosome you have the nucleus. In the mid piece you have the mitochondria. All right. Okay, so then now we're talking about oogenesis. Okay, oogenesis. Oh, so I'm doing good. Okay, oogenesis is the production of ovum or eggs. All right.
After all this work, girl.
I'm tired.
Be good.
How do you spell that word?
You're being loud and distracting.
It's OO genesis.
When people talk about not step.
That's how you spell it. OO genesis.
I bet.
Okay.
Oh, right here.
Okay. We're talking about oogenesis or oogenesis. Depends on how you say it. Few things that you need to know about this is that at puberty, first of all, each newborn girl, every baby girl, has about 1 million ovarian follicles. That is why the older a woman is to give and gets pregnant, the more risk of developing chromosomal defects in their baby is because she's had those eggs. Those eggs have been around for as long as she is old. So if you have a baby at 20, then your eggs are only 20 years old. If you have a baby at 45, then those eggs are 45 years old. So a baby is born with all the eggs that she's ever going to have. Okay? Yeah, she's born with all the eggs that she's ever going to have. Okay?
I'm glad you wrote that down.
Okay, so at puberty, there are about 400,000 primary follicles but only 1% will mature. Need to know that. At puberty, a girl is going to have about 400,000 primary follicles, but only 1% will mature. Okay?
Did y'all get that?
All right.
What was that?
I know you didn't get it.
I was.
All right. At puberty, there are about 400,000 primary follicles, but only 1% of them will mature.
400,000.
So that means over our lifetime, we will only have about 400, roughly 350 to 500, but roughly around 400 primary follicles that actually mature. That's not a lot when you consider that we were born with 1 million ovarian follicles. Out of that million, 400,000 are primary, and out of that 400,000, only 400 come to maturity. Okay?
1%,
So,
right?
and what you also need to know is that one ovum, it's one ovum for fertilization. Twins aren't the norm. It's usually one primary follicle produces one egg. Okay? It usually doesn't produce 2 eggs at a time. That's why there's usually one single birth, and we're not like cats that have a litter. We only have 1 or 2 at a time. Thank God. Okay.
Definitely would have been doing the fast different chop after that one
time ago.
For sure.
All right.
There's how many babies in there?
Okay. So then we have an ovum, okay, and one ovum produces 3 small daughter cells. Okay, so these daughter cells is the meiosis of the female. Okay, so the ovum happened because of mitosis, and then you have meiosis that comes along, and it divides into 3 cell divisions, and those cell divisions are called polar bodies. Okay, so the sperm has 4 cell divisions called what? Spermatids, and the female has 3 cell divisions called polar bodies. Okay, in the male, 23 chromosomes in the spermatids. In the female, 23 chromosomes in the polar bodies. Okay?
And it's the ovum that divides.
That's right. It's the ovum that divides into the polar bodies.
Into 3 polar bodies.
3 polar bodies. And each of those polar bodies contain 23 chromosomes. Okay. So the granulosal cells secrete estrogen.
Is meiosis always sex cells?
Yes, meiosis is always the division of sex cells. Mitosis is the division of everything else. Okay.
The granular cells secrete what?
The granulosal cells secrete estrogen. Okay. All right.
Get it?
Yeah. Okay.
Here, it's for that water that's by your computer.
That's what?
That's why they're running rapid.
Yeah.
3 days ago.
Oh, they probably sprayed after everybody talking about it,
Yeah.
everybody left.
Yeah. Because she said she was going to. All right. So, So you know that the sex cells are called gametes, right? Sex cells are called gametes.
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 Right, yeah.
Okay. Each gamete has 23 chromosomes. When a little boy gamete, sperm, meets a little girl gamete, an egg, they join together and they form a zygote. Okay, so 23 plus 23 form together and they form a zygote.
46.
So a zygote has 46 chromosomes, and a zygote can only be found in the female reproductive system, right?
Zygote are not going to be found in men.
Correct. Except for there was a case where
It wasn't reorientation or something.
it was a sexual reorientation, and he was a male on the outside, but female on the inside.
The internal organ
Yeah.
and they put
Yeah.
it in
So he carried the baby, but
Right.
it was okay.
And then I'm assuming they did a C-section?
the. Well, he didn't have the other
Yeah.
parts to give
Had
birth.
to.
Right.
Birth.
All right, so you need to know these things. What the heck fire did this come from? Okay. What is the purpose? What are the purposes of testosterone?
Masculinization, protein anabolism, and
Development of male accessory organs. 3 functions of testosterone: masculinization, promotion and maintenance of male accessory organs, and stimulation effect on protein anabolism. Okay.
Every time I hear that, I keep thinking of Chaz, because I watched the documentary, the Chaz Bono.
and anabolizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have estrogen and progesterone. Those are the female hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Right, estrogen causes the development of female secondary sex characteristics, stimulates the growth of the epithelial cells lining the uterus, development and maturation of female reproduction organs, appearance of pubic hair and breast development, development of female body contours and deposit of fat below the skin surface, and initiates menstruation. Woo-hoo, thank you. And then the corpus luteum, then the progesterone, the progesterone actually is responsible for the corpus luteum, which is the egg development, okay? Stimulate and proliferation of the epithelial lining of the uterus, and initiates the menstrual cycle at puberty.
Luteum, not luteum.
Luteum. Corpus luteum.
Luteum.
Did I say gluteum?
No, I
Oh.
thought you said luteum.
What? The corpus luteum?
Yeah.
Depending on the orientation may or may not involve reproduction.
Okay, so here is something that you need to know, and I want you to think about this. If estrogen in the female is the counterpart of testosterone in the male, then which part of the ovary would be the counterpart of the interstitial cells of the testes? So we just said this. You don't know that you said this, but let's think about it. If estrogen in the male is the counterpart, if estrogen in the female is the counterpart of testosterone in the male, then which part of the ovary would be the counterpart of the interstitial cells of the testes? So the interstitial cells produce what? Granulosa cells. Very good, because the interstitial cells produce testosterone.
Right.
So what it's asking you is what cells in the ovaries produce the estrogen, and that's the granulosa cells.
Okay.
See, it's not as hard as it seemed.
No, no, it's
Okay. Let's take just, can I get just like a 5-minute break here?
Yeah.
And then we'll come back.